mirror matchup, was it?
Almost.
Or was there
A Ranger
and
for BJ, yeah.
My bad.
Well, we know how Veil goes. We know it's a very tight map, and it's a map with small areas that you can fight in, which makes the Ranger very strong, but also makes BJ strong. I was going to do predictions, but you know what? I'm going to let you go with this one. For me, it's more about how's Tox performing today, right? Because we've cast him at the Beat Invitational before the very first one, and he just did not perform. He got knocked out in groups, but he's been performing well. He's made it here today. He was in the winner seeds of this one as well, so we know he's playing well, and he's performing well, but we need to see if it carries over into this match.
No, absolutely, he's got Garpy's bloodstains all over him after meeting him 2 days in a row. So we'll find out very shortly. But Jason, I'm going to kick you out. I'm going to do a prediction anyway and say Raisy's going to win. And let's get ourselves into game one, Jahar.
Absolutely, and again, I'm just absolutely thrilled to see a little bit of Toxic on stream here today, but we're going to be starting off on Raisy, getting the spawn of the grab for that initial LG as well as a Mega. A little bit of it getting chunked off by that rail from Toxic, who's already having to play from the back end of the map, but he's looking to get in some damage, but it's actually going to go Toxic's way completely with that rocket.
Yeah, Tox is going to be able to get it up in position again. He's looking to do more damage. There's some great LG from Raisy. He gets the Flame Strike out, but nothing connecting. Tox walking around on virtually zero is eventually going to be able to fade away to that rail room where there are plentiful resources.
And with the heavy pickup from Raisy here, he's still could be several seconds off from that Flame Strike, but he's able to turn it into a grab of both the Heavy and the Mega. He's really light on weapons, so he can't really go on the warpath. Gonna have to see if Toxic is gonna be coming back out of the rail room anytime soon.
This Fast Dark over here, missing the initial rocket. Raisy is looking for Lightning Gun, but Tox, we know how hard he hits with that weapon, but he's on just a couple of points of health. The major items have not respawned yet. Tox is going to opt not to jump through the skies to that teleporter, and he finds some HP, but he's very brittle right now.
Yeah, it's interesting that Raisy is relying more on, you know, maintaining control here than making the frag happen against Tox. He's still got one frag to bring back. I'm not sure he realized just how much damage he had done there, but even so, Toxic's been able to take a few chunks off of him anyway. Raisy creeping around this corner at the same time that Toxic is creeping right back into LG. Oof. Oh, yeah.
I think that moment there, he would have gone for a bit more damage earlier if he had had the railgun, but it took him almost 2 minutes to find the weapon, and ultimately LG trying to find his way safely onto that heavy armor. Not safely at all. And Toxic definitely shattering him with the stack that he has. Here's the Flame Strike. It actually hits pretty hard, but only 2 health left. He's back up the bounce pad.
Oh.
There's the little peak rail from Tox. He is burning down a bit, and he might go head-to-head with the keel of Raisy. There's one grenade, no connection, and Tox is going to fade away.
A really fantastic pair of rockets here as Toxic's going to be catching him out of the teleporter as well, looking for that last rail, not quite getting it. And Raisy's once again going to be pretty weak as he takes away that heavy armor Tox, pop it back through top T, and looks like he's going to be able to wait out for this Mega. So we've got Raisy recovering back over in the rail room. You've got plenty of health, a little bit of armor, but it's still a bit of a slow road to get that full recovery, and especially when it's keel on keel, there's a lot of armor to pick up.
There's very limited grenades for Tox. In fact, he's got none right now, whereas there are almost all 5 available for Raisy.
It's got to hit one.
Yeah.
Just one.
That's
But
it.
Toxic eating a rail, it's going to be a play at the jump pad. It's fake, but it's a good read out of Toxic. He gets a lot of LG damage off there. Raisy reeling from that fight as Tox manages to sneak away the heavy, and this Mega shouldn't be a big deal for him either.
Yeah, you can see Tox is just trying to blast out those grenade rocket combos. You can see 175 health just dissipate from your enemy in a frame. Now Tox edging back towards the Mega Health Room, just trying to keep an eye on what is Raisy doing. That was a small chunk of damage that he did just then. Tribal out 2. The Heavy is going to be contested now. Raisy drops pretty much at the same time. Not bad damage whatsoever. Raisy's on practically no health, and that rocket is going to close out the round. Tox is up around on first.
That first frag was a little bit messier than it needed to be. Yeah, the
Yes.
Flame Strike come out. Getting out of the LG room is always a little bit crazy, and it turned in a way that I think had an impact on the rest of the rounds. So let's see if Raisy can clean things up a little bit here. We have all the grenades popping out of
Wow.
Tox's keel, but the keel goes down.
Oh, that was really, really fast. Again, the fight's so early on at rockets. Usually there's respect given one way or another, but again, Raisy, he fights right back. Tox, he just prods him, and then, yeah, he suffers the consequences.
It takes a lot on Veil here to prevent that first frag from just turning into a bit of a steamroll. And that's what we're seeing a little bit of here as Raisy is just now breaking off the assault. Not a whole lot of items to play for, but catching Tox as he makes his way back out of the rail room, that is going to be everything. He doesn't have a railgun of his own, as you usually don't when you're in control, or 40 seconds into a round, you just haven't had the chance to pick one up yet.
Yeah, I think after the first round, I thought for a moment that, wow, Tox to be making this fairly convincing. You know, premature judgment, but immediately Raisy bites back and shows he's not afraid of Tox whatsoever, even though he's just intimidating being on the same server as him, just the knowledge of his aim.
You think?
Yeah.
I don't know. He looks pretty stone cold from my eyes here, but
This has got to be a kill
geez,
right here.
yeah.
Raisy locking down another and very quickly tying it up 1-1. Definitely good signs for this series that we have in Vale, giving us an aggressive match to start with. I do enjoy a lot watching Vale. So.
Aggressive matchup, aggressive map, and even in the first round, you could tell that Tox was watching Raisy's last match and thinking, I better actually respect his LG a little bit here.
And, you know, it's Raisy showing that he has many different styles of play. We see how slow he is versus Cypher and how patient that he's willing to be. But then when he's being challenged in the fights, he's saying, you know, I can also do that.
It's a little bit analogous to how Cooler's style changed between Rafa and Claus.
Yeah.
Very different games. But Raisy is now waiting out and baiting out the LG. It's going to be just about 5 seconds to either item. And Raisy's got an okay stack here, but it's going to be all about playing out the weapon, and Toxic hasn't even looked at it yet. He's focused on this armor. He's going to get it. Raisy popping back through TP, and without a Galena on the map, that's always going to be at least generally safe. So Raisy's looking at a great stack here, taking away weapons.
What if he heard Tox bouncing towards the railgun? There's the bounce pad, so he knows something's up, but Tox doesn't actually use it all the way, and the door's opening and closing. Raisy would be hearing that. But again, we're seeing that patient play. We're going back to a la Cypher match now after 2 rounds of pretty hectic business.
And a drop down onto the heavy armor could open the gates wide with the damage. But he's not going for the armor directly. He's not going for the armor at all. And that's going to be Toxic getting the pickup, but still taking a lot of damage. A great rocket jump from Raisy to immediately put pressure on that Mega. Looks like Toxic made the read, heard the RJ, and decided to leave town.
Oh, this could be really good from Raisy. He's going to go into this because he knows that the Dirom's been used, but Tox is hitting so much lightning gun. Doesn't matter how much health or armor you have, he is just going to burn right through it. He's hitting for 35% LG for the moment.
Oh no, but here comes the flame strike. Oh, but Tox's LG with 12 health is able to take that fight back, but can he maintain that? As now we've got Raisy coming back in with the BJ. Yeah, Toxic is going to need to keep the high ground. That Mega might need to go to Raisy. And Toxic just peeking out for a rail. Doesn't quite make the connection. He's going to be able to dive down towards Railgun and maybe get some of this help, but Raisy's ready for him with the dual LG, and that is going to take the first frag off of Tox.
Oh, he was under a lot of pressure there. I really thought that Tox was going to get the better of him over at the Mega Health room. And Raisy's showing. He's still got a pulse here in round 3. There's a lot of hourglasses over there, which would be wonderful for him to collect, but he knows that now with this rotation of major items, he's got to have some presence. That's one amazing entry rocket. The LG's not half bad either. His health is lowering, but Tox is down to 0 as we've got a champion each in round 3.
And he's looking for Tox to make a move towards LG. Any later at all, and Tox would have been in the room and stuck. But yeah, with the grenades, maybe not worth it. Just make a standing, take away one of those shots, and they'll get overcommitted. But we've got heavy armor coming back up. Mega not so long after that. And Tox pretty much has a free reign to come back through TP and take over the top of the map. And Raisy's just going to have to give that to him for the time being.
I think Raisy's going to be overall pretty happy. Even though he took damage, he's still able to stack back up and get heavy, get into the overstack levels of armor. And he's going to have to give it up to Tox, but ability back up.
Hi.
Doesn't punish him too much with that rocket. It could certainly have been more, possibly even dropped down.
He's showing some respect here, and he's still got the dual wield here, so if he can get Toxic running at him with those grenades coming out, then yeah, he can punish with the dual LG. Not quite happening here, as we've got the heavy coming back up. Tox looking for an excuse to drop down, but still looking for the damage out of Raisy, and a nice pop through the TP, a lot of speed, and there's the dual LG, but does he have the angle? Does he have the rail even? He gets the shot off, but Toxic's rail is able to get the frag in as well as the round.
I think if Raisy was able to connect with that first rail while dual wield was out, then it could have been even more turbulent the end of that round, but Tox hitting some crucial shots there to put him onto map point.
And it's been still a fairly tight one here on Veil of Nath, and again, it's a bit of a power play for Raisy to even bring this into the game, but we see Toxic rolling with the punches just fine, spawning up as Death Knight, taking away Mega, LG, Rockets, and kind of avoiding that initial early fight that can happen so often in Vale.
Tox heading towards the heavy. Time to establish some presence over here, and Raisy wants nothing to do with it. Oh, there we go.
It's going to hear the jump pad. Yeah, that's going to be good stuff. He beats out the dual wield. It's going to be there. Armor's up and about to be taken by Tox. If he can just get the knockoff with these rails and rockets, fantastic damage. That heavy's still going over to Raisy, but is it worth diving in for the Mega? Raisy is splattered against the wall.
That was so brave of Raisy to go for that rocket jump towards the Mega health. I thought it was genius for a second, but Tox had all of the follow-up shots that he needed. So he's looking good on map point for now.
Yeah, it would have been a great plan for Raisy if Tox hadn't hit literally everything.
And you've always got to count, you've got to factor that in every single time, because Tox has a nasty tendency of doing that.
Yeah. It's not great. And coming up from the LG room, I mean, I'm a little bit surprised that Raisy's still alive here. It's a nasty way to try to play back out towards the Mega side of the map. So Tox is going to be in full control at the moment. Fortunately, Raisy, as a keel, can take away a lot of the small armors.
Yeah, his stack is peaked now on the natural. He really needs to get onto a major item. Tox has so much to work with. And with that flame strike, it's very easy to kind of defend this position.
Yeah, I am the totem. So Tox able to drop down Churro for a little bit of that armor. And no aggression coming out of Raisy this time around.
He does actually position himself over at the Mega health, so he steals an item away, which is a big deal for him. But whether he can convert this into something else, I think Tox had the idea that he was going to make a trade at some point, but better to get rid of some armor for now.
Yeah, so Tox is just looking for the close range fight, but then again, so is Raisy with those grenades. A lot of respect being given between the both of them at the moment.
I think there's a sound cue there for Tox, you know, with these doors
I mean,
opening.
It's difficult on Valia. You've got doors, you've got items that are difficult to avoid. Tox taking away heavy, coming back through rocket.
I think it's Raisy who's giving up less information than Tox at the moment, but whether this transfers to anything. I mean, look at it, the Mega stack that he got earlier, eventually that health ticks down to its natural, and it's gone. He's going to want to fight for Mega health at some point, and Raisy's going to have to do something about it.
And right at the 100 mark, yeah, I mean, you're right. Raisy creeping through the doorway, just looking, knowing that Toxic is likely going to be down below, looking for that rail or even Tri-Bolt angle. But here comes the heavy. It's going to be Raisy, not quite dropping down, baiting out the Flame Strike, and also getting a good rail off. So even with the armor being picked up by Toxic, Raisy got the better end of that deal. And here comes the aggression, the collapsing from Raisy, but that rocket is going to be denying that attack.
That is insane damage output from Toxic. It was so good from Raisy as well earlier at the heavy room. He's managed to slow Tox down a lot, but now is the defense going to come in once again? Raisy's got so much HP, but he's just trickling him down fairly rapidly. More rockets coming out. It's a mutual frag in the end. Tox obviously would rather have it clean, but he still has that champion advantage with under 2 minutes to go.
With everything working against Tox, the fact that that was a mutual frag just speaks volumes to how well Tox was able to play out the geometry, play out his pacing, doing consistent damage while Raisy was just thinking, you have no health left. Like, I should be able to take you down quite easily.
Tox made it incredibly difficult, and now it's the roles have reversed pretty much. Now Raisy's on the Death Knight and Tox is on the keel.
It's your turn, but we've got Tox now looking for some of those nades. Raisy coming back up top.
A bit of less time for Tox, I think. Raisy's going to come in. He's going to put some pressure on. There's still 5 seconds into his Mega. He's going to recognize that Tox is out of position, but look at this LG defense from him. Almost getting the rail. For Raisy, he's got an item to fall back on, so it's not the worst thing to have happened. And he's got a lot of information with that fire damage afterwards. Mega health, though, getting taken fairly late.
That's just too tempting. Raisy seeing Toxic, not realizing he's actually been flanked out. Raisy actually going in for the damage. Doesn't really get a lot out of it, but you never really do unless you're cooler. But we've got Raisy taking away all the health. At least he's back up to 100. Toxic not looking all that hot, but again, we've got 30 seconds until Toxic wins out this round by the timer. But Raisy realizing that, trying to go in for the RJ, not quite getting there. He still has some of the dot damage, but it's not worth going up that jump pad, ever.
Tox might have gone just a little bit too passive for a second. That Mega held this up. There's still 15 seconds to go, but Raisy goes for the direct chase. Mega now has been turned to Tox's, and he's going to drop from the skies and just dunk him. That is going to be 3-1, and Tox is going to take away Raisy's map.
You could tell that Raisy standing there by the TP. He knew that it was going to be time to go through it at some point, but he wasn't quite feeling like it was time. And now you find out why. Tox dropping down like that.
I generally think that if Raisy went for the Mega first, he obviously felt pressed to do something and not allow him to get too far out of his sights. But if he went for Mega, he had such a stack on him, and he'd done brilliant damage on the build-up. So I know it means very last-minute comeback, but that was probably his highest % chance of getting it done.
A lot of respect to him, though, because even with like 10 seconds left knowing the clock is on the line, he doesn't just immediately barrel through the teleporter. He thinks about it a little bit. I wouldn't call it hesitation. He was definitely processing, and Tox has had a great opportunity for a trap.
Yeah, completely. But we move over to Blood Covenant next. I'm super curious about the champion lineups we're going to get. I think we're going to jump into champion selection in just a couple of seconds. But are you feeling that Tox has got this series now if he's took Raisy's map?
Yeah, actually. The last match, you know, I kind of want to see Raisy do something crazy here, but the way that Tox is playing right now, I think it's going to be very difficult to break his stride.
No, I totally agree, but let's check out these.
Cool, we could be wrong together, maybe.
I'm okay with that, as long as it's together. That's what counts. We got Ranger first for Tox. Is Raisy going to mimic, or is he inspired by some other thoughts? I don't know if Keel is going to come out because it is an incredibly open map and you are easier to hit as one of those heavy champions.
There's a lot of deliberation going on with these picks. They aren't auto picks at all, just you know, crunching the numbers.
And you kind of got to right now. If you're Raisy, you lose this map, you're down to the lower bracket. If you win it, you get a really nice advantage being seeded highly going into day 3. He is going to go for Keel. Now, does
Keel on Blood Covey? Okay.
So are we expecting a slash? I think Tox, if he's taking time, he's maybe deliberating about that.
You know, I can understand why he wouldn't, but it would really make my heart go a-flutter if he did.
Yes, and it's something we'd have to keep an eye on a lot, at least at the start of the game if it's a champion who wants to pick early. So it's going down to the last second. He's going to go with Doom.
He's not messing around. He's not here to show off. He's here to win. And like Rafa said, winning is cool.
I think it's very composed of Tox, though,
to
do
it
that.
Is. Yeah.
Because oftentimes, even when we saw the sort of DreamHack Winter 2017 finals, he's making some very unusual off-meta picks, which is fine if you're really specialized heavily in a champion, but you know, pick your moments. Maybe a map one.
It's also different when you think that choosing a different champion other than the obvious would actually be enough to give you that edge. But here, I think he's just relying on bread and butter, rockets and rails.
Absolutely. Well, guys, we are going to be jumping into the game in just a second. It's map 2 between Toxic and Myztro's Raisy. So on Tox, we're going to be right off the start. He's going to be going Doom first, up against Visor.
And of course, that just gives him very easy access to rockets, rails, and heavy. And actually, if you're going to be starting off as a Doom Slayer, that's pretty much the spawn you want. It gives him a lot of utility, a lot of room, and a lot of room to breathe as well. But it's going to be clamped down a little bit by that initial LG coming out of Raisy. And again, his LG has been phenomenal this series.
That's true. Don't rule out Raisy's aim. It's incredibly strong. I mean, Tox, his aim, it's sensational. If you can get close to matching that and you can win on that war of control, definitely don't be afraid of it too much as Raisy.
And we have a little bit of delay coming on to this heavy armor here. It's going to pay off pretty well for Raisy at the moment. Toxic just figured out, okay, you're leaving heavy, just got taken that into account now as we've got the next Mega coming up. So Toxic moving into a position to defend the Mega a little bit more, as Raisy's actually going to be coming back up the stairs. I mean, he's a Visor, but he doesn't have his piercing sight for another 3 seconds, so Toxic can just look for a rail and going for it. But Raisy stabbing back with his own. It's going to largely be washed away by this Mega, and with the rails coming out of Toxic, he's looking for this last hit here. Raisy is going to be on the run.
I can't believe how awesome that shot. I know the moment is gone, but that rail that Raisy landed from Brid was unbelievable.
Yeah.
He just side peeked him, and he knew exactly that. He had it lined up already. There's a good rocket and the rail. Toxic shuts him down with a fantastic combo. And now over to BJ for Raisy, as he was not able to accomplish much at all, sadly.
And not a great spawn for him, to be honest. I mean, he's going to be able to get a grab for SNG, but in the play for the LG, Toxic is not going to give it to him for free, not without at least a little bit of pressure. And if he wants to come with this jump pad for the Mega, he could be punished here. Toxic backing out of the choke point, doesn't want to get caught.
Maybe it's going to be up as soon as Tox wants to go for it. Looking for a bit of fadeaway damage, but Raisy not going to chase through that side. He's going up to Banana, dual-wield LG. Toxic's pushed back off, away from the light armor. Still trying to find him. He's doing excellent damage, and Raisy's
not afraid of nothing.
He can't do anything. He's trying to land any bit of extra output of any sort, and Toxis was stacking up. He's like, actually, my health's going backwards to how you want it.
And here in Blood Covenant, we get to see what Raisy can do with the Keel. I don't see this very often, and when you're kind of relying on your LG, depending on the distance, you do have to like break your LG damage just a little bit to line up that grenade shot, which can be worth it if you hit it. If you don't, it's not.
If we took away the names and I just saw the champion lineups, normally I'd say, oh, this looks like something Tox would do.
Yeah.
Because I'm not convinced at all by Keel yet, but I'm more than happy to see
I'm
Raisy.
ready to be convinced.
Yeah, for sure. Like, Raisy, if you got something...
But he has to get a little bit closer. I mean, he's going to be able to take away Mega, but he's still taking a lot of this attrition damage from the HMG. We've got some extra damage coming into the pillars. Nothing really connecting against Raisy just yet, but as he's crossing back over towards Heavy, he's going to be playing from the stairs, and that's not going to be easy.
He's got to find something now. Tox is a little bit vulnerable. We've got stray grenades coming up, but there's actually... LG's not so bad at all. Once again, 24 points of health for Tox. He finds a light armor, but what a rail. He knew he was going to be vulnerable, so oh, if I hit the shot first, it's GG.
Raisy knew he was looking for the shot. Toxic knew Raisy was looking for the shot, and it just came down to who made the shot.
We know who made the shot now.
That's why they pay us the big bucks.
Well,
That's how you play the football. Yeah.
We're back with Toxic as he's going to get the early damage in this round. And another, just flyby rail. Beautiful stuff. Raisy's got to find a way to deal with this aim that we're getting from Tox. He's being so consistent with everything. It's beautiful to see him when he's on like this.
That's not something you want, though, if you're Raisy, just taking 2 rails off the bat. I mean, you have to go get the Mega because it's the Mega, but then you have all that time where you're not getting weapons, and he's been kind of scared off of this railgun. Toxic's going, hey, yeah, come back later.
It's smart, though, for Raisy.
Yeah.
People get so desperate to pick up the railgun, they're almost willing to sacrifice everything in order to get it. There's no point. If it's going to cost you 100 health or so, you're just going to give up a frag in a few moments. This is a really good ambush, though, from Raisy. Toxic going to use his Berserk to just edge away from the fight. And again, he's managing to stack back up so quickly.
But Raisy's LG is dangerous. I mean, that was 18 health for Toxic, still managing to take it back. You could see him crunching the numbers very quickly on the staircase, and he's going to be able to take away that BJ from Raisy. He's going to be spawning back up as a Visor, popping the piercing sight. And it's going to be a bit of an attack here on the rocket launcher. Toxic, though, a great read, 100 damage off of that rocket. That can't feel good for Raisy.
And just FYI, Tox is hitting 53% LG now. I know last time I quoted it, it was in the 30s on Veil, but yeah, it's looking pretty damn strong at the moment. Nice work from Raisy.
And Raisy just keeps eating all these rails, though, so he's going to be railable. He's definitely in the danger zone. Toxic, same thing, but he's got the angle on the Heavy. And again, Toxic's reaction time, like, that was a well-executed trap by Raisy. Nothing wrong with that. Toxic is just inhuman.
Yeah, and he's just hitting ridiculous amounts. I don't know how he was so accurate after getting caught off guard. Oh, looking for the vertical rocket to rail combo. Well, this LG is not bad at all. We've got a double jump mid-air, but still Tox is landing damage. He has to heal up a bit because of Keel has got many resources to his name.
Where is Toxic's movie deal with James Cameron? I mean, just he's doing so much damage on this heavy armor. Even with after the pickup, he's able to chain him down with the HMG and take 2-0 on Blood Covey.
He hasn't died yet. He's just been playing Doom. That's literally all he's doing at the moment. Raisy cannot get a frag against Tox on Blood Covenant. It's been close. The fights have been incredibly close, but I mean, at the same time, if it doesn't happen, he's still way off getting a round, let alone a frag right now.
Yeah, if Raisy doesn't take this round, we won't get to see Toxic's Doom come to Sarnath.
True. Got some nail gun out.
More clever than you know. I'll explain it later. But Toxic is going to be up top.
What do you take me for?
I know exactly what I take you for. All right, taking away rocket launcher, maintaining a little bit of control over on the other end of pillars, as that Mega's going to be coming up here pretty soon. We've got Heavy coming back up as well, and actually Raisy's doing a fairly decent job of giving Toxic the runaround. But on Blood Covenant, all that really means is, all right, cool, you go take that Heavy, I'm going to get Mega, but I'm still going to be back there in time to punish you for wanting to take that Heavy.
Oh, that's Raisy with a piercing sight. I think that rail was too sick. Look at that, actually, an important shot to land. He doesn't get punished for picking up the heavy armor. There is a chance for Raisy to get in this round, but then all of a sudden, Tox, you get in his way and you've taken 200 damage and you don't know what happened. He's going to hear him down below.
Tox not quite exposing himself or looking for the drop down. He's looking for Raisy to make the move, looking for the punish. And best thing is, if he doesn't make the move, then Toxic gets a free Mega. Win-win.
If you want to fight directly, keeping that upper position, you get so much more information. It's harder to engage in a fight. You might get that early damage too.
Taking those hourglasses very slowly. Maybe if I take him slowly, he won't know where I am. But guess what? Toxic already has his target locked, getting a one rail knocked off of Raisy, looking for a way to cross the bridge. But Toxic's still going to be the troll over across.
He's got like the head to aim at, and Raisy's got the whole body to fire at, and still Tox wins in that exchange. Gonna get one more.
Just like you said. Oh my god.
It's just they keep landing. I don't know if he's run out of rails. He's got 4 left, but he's going with the heavy machine gun. Raisy though suddenly landing, looks for another, but Tox breaks away from the fight.
And now he can go get this Mega. He's going to have to approach it from pillars, which means the play here is on the jump pad from Raisy. It's risky, but he's got to make that kind of play happen right now. He managed to get the grab, not quite getting the frag just yet, as Toxic is on the run with the Berserk pack.
Thought Raisy's going to walk that rocket. Goes through the teleporter instead. Tox definitely got to think about getting some more rail ammunition soon, but by God.
I'm looking at this on a 144 Hz monitor. I'm not seeing the intermediary frames between Toxic not seeing Raisy and then him railing Raisy.
Yeah.
It's one frame.
It's disgusting. And Raisy's got to get frustrated by that. It's so much to deal with when you're trying to get any semblance of control and it just gets removed from you instantaneously. That is hard to play against. But no one's really fully committed to making a move yet.
Right.
Tox is waiting for a bit more of a misstep from Raisy before he goes for something, and yet Raisy's not able to finish the job. But this is why he's had some valiant efforts this round at getting Tox low. Yeah,
all the damage so far has been on the fadeaways and on the corner plays. Nothing really so much as, you know, like Cooler and Claws running at each other with Death Knight. We're not seeing that kind of game here, but at the same time, Toxic is punishing all of these corners very effectively.
Raisy spot him. Again, it still feels like Tox won that exchange, hitting some heavy machine gun.
Yeah, especially Raisy dropping down to shotgun armor. He's going to need a clean exit here, and right now, I don't think he has one. Toxic has got the beat on him, if not the read, and it's okay if he goes over towards heavy, as Toxic can still set up over by either rocket launcher. Oh my god, he's actually playing this angle to spam down rockets from that range at that angle.
Well, what's sick is that he managed to see that Raisy moves up towards heavy, and he's like, and that's the timing. And, that's it. And he's on the other side of the map, pretty much by mega health. Like, we got some explosive play there, exchanging some rockets.
Exchange is the right word, as the damage was fairly equal. Toxic still top of the map, still daring Raisy to show up in mid. We haven't had a frag just yet as we hit that 4-minute mark, but again, Raisy has been having to respond to everything Toxic is frankly making him do.
There it is, LG on LG. Raisy's got the heavy right behind him in limited health, but he's given permission to move away from that part of the map. Tox, he can get himself the mega. There is a light armor down below. Again, it's TOXJQ right now. These players are even, but it is Raisy who's going to feel pressured to do something.
Yeah, I think Tox is only really ever taking the mega and just using everything else to punish. So as far as heavies go, they're actually tied here 9-9. But in this round, it's been largely Raisy getting that pickup. And again, we've got heavy up. Tox is looking at it, but Raisy's not there. This is the first time Toxic is going, okay, I don't actually know where Raisy is, and as a result, I can go get heavy.
Very unusual. Raisy maybe trying to set up a trap towards the mega health. Ends up being an item exchange. Tox was maybe a 20 stack advantage going at the moment. Doesn't really make a big enough difference just yet.
I mean, numbers-wise, yeah, they traded items, no big deal, it's Blood Covenant, but the fact that Toxic was still looking for Raisy at the heavy and didn't know that trade was going to be happening, that's a big deal. I don't know if Raisy can capitalize on it, but it's certainly a first step.
We're kind of waiting to see a sort of piercing sight allow Raisy to do a bit more damage. He does find 2 rails cleanly. He might want to attack incredibly soon. He's moving forward now. The mega health is up. He's just finished using piercing sight, but now all of a sudden Tox, he returns fire and keeps himself safe. They had avoided combat for actually quite a long time.
Oh yeah. And now with Raisy heading back over towards heavy, I think Tox is feeling much more comfortable about how Raisy's moving again now. He's got the lock on him again, and now he's ready for these corner rails. And again, not a whole lot of damage dealt out in this round in total, as we're now a minute into overtime here without a frag. But Toxic is going to be looking for Raisy through a TP. Oh, but it's actually a play with the rocket launcher before the teleporter. Toxic dropped down to the low pillars. He's going to have to play defensively here with the Mega up. Raisy getting the grab. Heavy's going to be up as well. Toxic running it back. It's going to be a tight race, and Toxic actually could have gotten there first if he had committed, but he's breaking over towards Rockets instead.
Very, very passive from Tox.
Yeah.
I still think he considers this piercing sight too much of a threat to stand too wide out in the open. But again, just as he got Raisy low, Raisy re-established a semblance of control. He's starting to hit a rail now. He definitely needs more. He just drops down to get that light. He's on 30% rail though, Raisy. 7 of 23 to the 14 of 33, 42% that Tox has. And it's been noticeable, Raisy's lack of rail connections.
He's hit enough to make Toxic, think twice about going all in on some of these attacks, just like that one. And now we've got Toxic on the bridge. Raisy actually RJing back up. Toxic didn't quite have that read. Raisy trying to collapse in and tighten the noose. Toxic trying to take away as many 25s as he can. But this is going to make Mega difficult to play for. And subsequently, it's going to be a little bit of a risk to even be camping out at the heavy. So Toxic just taking the 25 in a small armor, still being pretty passive here going, it's not worth going all in on that heavy.
Raisy, he really should have closed the gap just then. Tox was on about 20, 30 points of health. He's managed to get, again, health bubbles and a light armor. He's got the piercing sight, but misses out on the rail. If Raisy wants to shut down this round, he just needs to get some rail damage out before we get Tox back to 100 or 100. And a position where he feels comfortable challenging for a mega health or a heavy armor.
Yeah, you say closing the gap, and I'm wondering right now if you're Raisy, how do you do that? I mean, he's got the stack. He's finally managed to get a double pickup of the items. Great, neat. But how do you get close enough to Toxic to just have that, rough and tumble outfight with the Rockets and LG? Especially when Toxic, again, is just hitting all these rails. Are we going to see Deja Vu with the machine gun? Nope. Raisy's going to be able to duck out of there, but a lot of that stack advantage is gone. It's a play up the jump pad, and all the 7s are not going to result in a death just yet. Both of them reeling, bleeding, but still alive.
That was really surprising. Raisy used piercing sight as he went up the bounce pad then, but Tox, obviously, he's not going to miss anything as Raisy goes up that bounce pad. Bit more LG from the Hungarian. He drops down to lower banana, but he's already taken the light armor there. Tox, he's able to take everything. I want to see him now go in for the kill very soon once this heavy armor is picked up.
So there's the pickup. It's going to be the RJ back up to bridge as Raisy's looking to cross out of the choke point for Mega. And it's actually the fact that he's been kind of camping out there is keeping Toxic a little bit concerned about where he's coming from. Well, there's the rail to open things up. 2 seconds to Mega. Exactly 1 bullet from that HMG, but it's still going to be the Mega handed over to Toxic. 10 seconds before the heavy. If Raisy wanted to make that kind of a offering or a sacrifice of the Mega to go get the heavy, it was a lot of time to make that work.
And Tox not being able to spot out Raisy early enough during that whole encounter means he might be losing that window. He needs to try and get closer, get back to landing those rails, find some angles on the major items. It's almost like they've gone distant away from the major items.
Looking for these rails. It's going to be Tox getting that hit again. And yeah, it's little edges like that that are keeping Raisy at bay. And you start wondering if these guys are doing a cosplay of, Rafa and Evil.
Does seem that way a little bit. And again, got to remind ourselves, almost 10 minutes into this round, Tox wins this. He's through to day 3.
Yeah. Raisy just holding on with everything that he can. And honestly, this hasn't been easy for Tox. On the same token, anytime Tox is stacked, he's respecting Raisy enough not to want to get close, but he just got close. Choice or no, but there's the rail from the LG, and that's going to be 3-0, 10 minutes into the round.
Wow, he finally